Daily Words of God. How do you grasp the specifics in spirit? How does the Holy Spirit work in man? How does Satan work in man? How do evil spirits work in man? And what are the manifestations of this work? When something happens to you, does it come from the Holy Spirit? And should you obey it or reject it? People's actual practice gives rise to much that is of human will, yet which people always believe to come from the Holy Spirit. Some comes from evil spirits, yet still people think it is born of the Holy Spirit. And sometimes the Holy Spirit guides people from within, yet people believe such guidance comes from Satan and do not dare to obey, when in reality it is the enlightenment of the Holy Spirit. Thus, without differentiation, there is no way to experience when such experiences are actually happening to you. And without differentiation, there is no way of gaining life. How does the Holy Spirit work? How do evil spirits work? What comes from the will of man? And what is born of the guidance and enlightenment of the Holy Spirit? If you grasp the rules of the Holy Spirit's work within man, then you will be able to grow your knowledge and differentiate in your daily lives and during your actual experiences. You will come to know God. You will be able to understand Satan. You will not be confused in your obedience or pursuit, and you will be someone whose thoughts are clear and who obeys the work of the Holy Spirit. The work of the Holy Spirit is proactive guidance and positive enlightenment. It is not allowing people to be passive, bringing them solace, giving them faith and resolve, and enabling them to pursue being made perfect by God. When the Holy Spirit works, people are able to actively enter. They are not passive or forced, but are proactive. When the Holy Spirit works, people are glad and willing, and they are willing to obey and happy to humble themselves. And even though they are pained and fragile inside, they have the resolve to cooperate. They suffer gladly. They are able to obey, and they are untainted by human will, untainted by the thinking of man, and are certainly untainted by human desires and motivations. When people experience the work of the Holy Spirit, they are especially holy inside. Those who are possessed of the work of the Holy Spirit live out the love of God, the love of their brothers and sisters, and delight in the things that delight God, and loathe the things that God loathes. People who are touched by the work of the Holy Spirit have normal humanity, and they are possessed of humanity and constantly pursue the truth. When the Holy Spirit works within people, their circumstances become better and better, and their humanity becomes more and more normal. And though some of their cooperation may be foolish, their motivations are right. Their entry is positive. They do not try to interrupt, and there is no malevolence within them. The work of the Holy Spirit is normal and real. The Holy Spirit works in man according to the rules of the normal life of man, and he enlightens and guides in people according to the actual pursuit of normal people. When the Holy Spirit works in people, He guides and enlightens them according to the needs of normal people, He provides for them based on their needs, and He positively guides and enlightens them based upon what they lack and upon their deficiencies. When the Holy Spirit works, this work is in consonance with the rules of the normal life of man, and it is only in real life that people are able to see the work of the Holy Spirit. If, in their everyday lives, people are in a positive state and have a normal spiritual life, then they are possessed of the work of the Holy Spirit. In such a state, when they eat and drink the words of God, they have faith. When they pray, they are inspired. When something happens to them, they aren't passive, and as it is happening to them, they are able to see the lessons that God requires them to learn, and they are not passive or weak, and although they have real difficulties, they are willing to obey all the arrangements of God. What effects are achieved by the work of the Holy Spirit? You can be foolish, and there can be no differentiation within you, but the Holy Spirit has but to work for there to be faith in you, for you to always feel that you can't love God enough, for you to be willing to cooperate no matter how great the difficulties ahead. Things will happen to you, and it won't be clear to you whether they come from God or from Satan, but you will be able to wait, and you will be neither passive or remiss. This is the normal work of the Holy Spirit. When the Holy Spirit works within them, people still encounter real difficulties. Sometimes they cry, and sometimes there are things that they can't overcome. But this is all a stage of the ordinary work of the Holy Spirit. Although they do not overcome those things, and although, at the time, they are weak and make complaints, afterward they are still able to love God with absolute faith. Their passiveness cannot stop them having normal experiences, and regardless of what other people say and how they attack them, still they are able to love God. During prayer, they always feel that they used to be so indebted to God, and they resolve to satisfy God and renounce the flesh when they encounter such things again. This strength shows there is the work of the Holy Spirit within them, and this is the normal state of the work of the Holy Spirit. What work comes from Satan? In the work that comes from Satan, the visions in people are vague and abstract, and they are without normal humanity. The motivations behind their actions are wrong, and although they wish to love God, there are always accusations within them, and these accusations and thoughts are always interfering within them, constraining the growth of their life, and stopping them from having normal circumstances before God. Which is to say, as soon as there is the work of Satan within people, their hearts can't be at peace before God. They don't know what to do with themselves. The sight of an assembly makes them want to run away, and they are unable to close their eyes when others pray. The work of evil spirits wrecks the normal relationship between man and God, and upsets people's previous visions and the path that their life has entered upon. In their hearts, they can never draw close to God. Things always happen that cause disruption to them and enshackle them, and their hearts cannot find peace, leaving no strength to their love of God and making their spirits sink downward. Such are the manifestations of the work of Satan. The work of Satan is manifested in the following: being unable to stand your ground and stand witness, causing you to become someone who is at fault before God and who has no faithfulness toward God. At the interference from Satan, you lose the love and loyalty toward God within you. You are stripped of a normal relationship with God. You do not pursue the truth or the improvement of yourself. You regress and become passive. You accommodate yourself. You give free rein to the spread of sin and are not hateful of sin. Furthermore, the interference of Satan makes you dissolute. It causes God's touch to disappear within you and makes you complain about God and oppose Him, leading you to question God, and there is even the risk of you leaving God. All this is of the work of Satan.